The rain was relentless, turning the Chicago sidewalks into slippery hazards as Ethan bolted from the upscale apartment building, his face bruised and his shirt torn. "Please, let me hide in your car," he shouted, yanking open the passenger door of the black sedan that had just stopped at the light. The driver, a sharply dressed man in his mid-30s with dark hair and even darker eyes, stared at him for a split second before nodding curtly. "Get in." Ethan slid into the seat, his hands shaking as he pulled the door shut. The interior smelled of leather and faint cologne, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. "Thank you," he whispered, slumping low in the seat as he glanced back at the building where Marcus was likely already searching for him. "Just drive, please. Anywhere but here." The driver pulled away smoothly, merging into traffic without a word at first. Ethan could feel the man's eyes on him occasionally, assessing. "Name's Luca," the driver finally said, his voice deep and calm, with a slight Chicago accent tinged with something Italian. "You look like you've seen better days." "Ethan," he replied, wiping rain from his face. I just needed to get away. My husband. Things got bad tonight." Luca kept his gaze on the road, but his grip on the wheel tightened just a fraction. He did not ask for details right away, which Ethan appreciated. The silence stretched as they moved through the glistening streets of downtown Chicago, past the towering buildings and the occasional flash of neon signs. Ethan's heart still pounded from the fight. Marcus had always had a temper, but tonight the shove had turned into something more violent. The word still echoed. "You think you can just walk out on me? After everything my family did for you." Ethan's own family had pressured him into the marriage 3 years ago. They came from old money in the suburbs, the kind where appearances mattered more than happiness. "Marcus is stable," his mother had said. "He'll take care of you. The world isn't kind to people like you otherwise. People like him. Gay. Different." The marriage was supposed to fix that, to give them the perfect son-in-law image at country club events. Instead, it became a cage. Luca turned onto a quieter street. "You got a place to go?" he asked. Ethan shook his head. "Not really. Friends are too close to Marcus. He'd find me." Luca nodded once, as if that settled something in his mind. "Then you stay with me tonight. No questions. Just until you figure it out." Ethan wanted to refuse. He did not know this man, but the alternative was going back or wandering the streets in the rain. "Why are you helping me?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Luca's lips curved into a small, unreadable smile. "Let's just say I've seen enough people running from bad situations. Sometimes you need a stranger to give you a chance." They drove in silence for another 20 minutes, heading north toward the lakefront. Luca's car was expensive, the kind that whispered money without shouting it. Ethan noticed the way Luca moved, confident and controlled, like someone used to being in charge. When they pulled into an underground garage beneath a sleek high-rise, Ethan hesitated. "This is your place?" "One of them," Luca said simply. He led Ethan to a private elevator that opened directly into a penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan. The space was modern, minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows and art that probably cost more than Ethan's annual salary. It felt safe but also intimidating. Luca showed him to a guest room. Bathrooms through there. Clean clothes in the closet. Get some rest. We'll talk in the morning. Ethan stood there after Luca left, staring at his reflection in the mirror. The bruise on his cheek was darkening. He had spent years convincing himself that Marcus's control was love, that the isolation was protection. His family had reinforced it, reminding him how lucky he was. Now, in a stranger's home, the weight of all those choices pressed down. What had he traded for safety? His freedom? His self-respect? He lay awake for hours, listening to the rain against the windows. Down the hall, Luca made quiet phone calls. Ethan caught fragments. "Handle the loose ends." "No, keep it quiet." It should have worried him more, but exhaustion won out. The next morning, Luca was already in the kitchen, making coffee. He looked even more imposing in daylight, tall and broad-shouldered, with a presence that filled the room. "Sleep okay?" he asked, sliding a mug across the counter. Better than I expected. Ethan sat down, wrapping his hands around the warm mug. I need to tell you what happened. Marcus. He's influential. His family has connections in the city. If he finds out where I am. Luca leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Connections don't scare me much. Tell me the truth, Ethan. All of it. Ethan talked. He spoke about the slow erosion of his independence, the way Marcus monitored his phone, his friends, even his job at the marketing firm. The public charm that hid the private cruelty. The family dinners where his parents praised Marcus while ignoring the tension. The nights he lay awake wondering if this was all he deserved. Luca listened without interruption. When Ethan finished, Luca said quietly, You're not going back. Not if you don't want to. Why do you care? Ethan asked again. You don't know me. Luca's eyes met his, steady and intense. Maybe because I see something in you that reminds me of choices I once made. Choices that cost a lot. They spent the day talking more. Luca revealed he ran several legitimate businesses. Restaurants, construction firms, but Ethan sensed there was more. The way people deferred to him when they stopped by later that afternoon. The careful way he phrased things. By evening, Ethan felt a strange pull toward this man who had offered shelter without demanding anything in return. It was the first time in years someone had listened without judgment. But as night fell, Ethan's phone buzzed with messages from Marcus. Where are you? This isn't over. The fear returned. He did not know then that the man offering him safety carried secrets far more dangerous than his husband's anger. Over the next few days, Ethan settled into a fragile routine in Luca's penthouse. He called in sick to work, using a vague excuse about a family emergency. Marcus kept texting and calling, alternating between rage and fake concern. Come home, Ethan. We can fix this. Your parents are worried. Ethan deleted the messages, but each one chipped away at his resolve. Luca gave him space but was always nearby. They shared meals, simple Italian dishes Luca cooked himself, surprising for a man who seemed so commanding. During one dinner, Ethan asked about Luca's life. I grew up in the neighborhood, Luca said, pouring wine. Family business. Lots of expectations. You learn early that loyalty matters more than anything. Ethan nodded, sensing the layers beneath the words. My family was the opposite. All about image. When I came out in college, it was like I'd broken some unspoken rule. They introduced me to Marcus at a charity event. He was charming, successful. They pushed hard. Said a stable marriage would make everything easier. Luca's expression darkened. Easier for them. Yeah. Ethan stared at his plate. I thought I loved him at first. Or maybe I loved the idea of fitting in. But he changed. Or maybe he never changed and I just stopped seeing it. The conversation turned personal. Luca shared fragments of his own past. A father who demanded perfection. Brothers lost to the family trade. A life where trust was rare. He did not say the word mafia. But Ethan began to piece it together from the visitors who came at odd hours, the hushed conversations, the way Luca's phone never stopped. One afternoon, they walked along the lakefront. The city buzzed around them, normal life continuing while Ethan's felt suspended. Luca walked close, protective without crowding. You don't have to decide everything today, he said. But you deserve better than running scared. Ethan felt a warmth he had not experienced in years. Luca's presence was steady, his decisions clear. When they returned, Ethan caught himself watching Luca move around the kitchen. The way his shirt stretched across his shoulders, the quiet strength in his voice. Attraction stirred, unexpected and terrifying. He pushed it down. This was temporary. Luca was a stranger offering help. Nothing more. That night, Marcus escalated. He showed up at Ethan's office, demanding to see him. When told Ethan was out, he left a message with a coworker. Tell him his husband is waiting. The coworker texted Ethan, worried. Ethan showed Luca the message. Luca read it, jaw tight. He won't find you here. How can you be sure? Luca met his eyes. Because I make sure of things like this. The next day, Luca took Ethan to one of his restaurants, a quiet Italian place in Little Italy. The staff treated Luca with deference. Over lunch, Luca opened up more. My world isn't clean, Ethan. There are rules, debts, people who expect things from me. But I protect what's mine. The word mine hung in the air. Ethan felt both comforted and uneasy. That evening, back at the penthouse, they sat on the balcony overlooking the city lights. Ethan talked about the guilt that ate at him, the fear that leaving Marcus made him selfish, that his family would see him as a failure. Luca listened, then said, "Guilt is a chain. You decide whether to keep wearing it." Their hands brushed when Luca passed him a glass of water. The contact lingered a second too long. Ethan pulled back, heart racing. He was not ready. The wounds from Marcus were too fresh. Yet he could not deny the growing connection, the way Luca made him feel seen for the first time. Unbeknownst to Ethan, Luca had already made calls. Marcus's movements were being watched. The Rossi family had eyes everywhere. Luca told himself it was just protection. But deep down, he knew it was becoming something more. He had not let anyone close in years. Now this bruised, brave man was cracking open doors he had kept locked. The tension built slowly. Ethan began helping around the penthouse, small things like cooking breakfast. They laughed over burned toast. For moments, it felt almost normal, almost romantic. But the outside world pressed in. Ethan's mother called, voice sharp with disappointment. "Marcus says you're confused. Come home and talk like adults." Ethan hung up, tears in his eyes. Luca found him on the couch. "They don't get to decide your life." "I know, but they're my family. Families can be wrong." That night, Ethan lay awake, torn between gratitude for Luca and the moral weight of depending on someone whose world he barely understood. He sensed danger in Luca's calm power, but also safety he had never known. The choice to stay was becoming less about escape and more about possibility. Yet every decision carried a price, and Ethan was only beginning to see how high it might be. Weeks passed, and the fragile peace in the penthouse started to feel like home. Ethan returned to work cautiously, using a different route each day. Luca arranged discreet security, men who blended into the city crowds. Ethan noticed but did not question it too deeply at first. He was healing. The bruises faded, and so did some of the fear. Their conversations deepened. One evening, after a quiet dinner, Luca asked about Ethan's dreams. "Before Marcus, what did you want?" Ethan smiled faintly. "To travel. Right, maybe. Live somewhere no one knew my last name. Stupid, right?" "Not stupid." Luca's voice was soft. "I wanted out once too, but family pulls you back." He shared more about the Rossi legacy, the expectations, the rivalries, the choices that stained his hands. He never said the words directly, but Ethan understood. Luca was not just a businessman. He was a leader in a world where loyalty was enforced with consequences. The attraction between them grew undeniable. It showed in small moments. Luca's hand on Ethan's shoulder when reassuring him, the way their eyes held during conversations, the comfortable silences. Ethan felt guilty for feeling it so soon after leaving Marcus. "Is this wrong?" he asked himself. "Am I just replacing one dependence with another?" Luca sensed the hesitation. "I'm not him," he said one night as they watched the lake from the balcony. "I won't control you, but I won't pretend I don't feel this either." Ethan nodded, but the moral conflict raged inside. Luca's world involved things he had only seen in movies. Power that could protect but also destroy. Was he trading emotional abuse for moral compromise? The first real test came when Marcus located him. A process server showed up at Ethan's office with divorce papers and a demand for a meeting. "He wants to talk reconciliation," the note read. Ethan told Luca that evening. Luca's face hardened. "You don't have to go. But if I don't, he'll drag my family into it. Make it public." They argued, not heated but tense. Ethan insisted on meeting Marcus in a public place. Luca agreed but arranged for eyes on the cafe. The meeting was a disaster. Marcus was charming at first, then accusatory. "You're throwing away everything for what? Some rebound? Your parents are ashamed." Ethan stood his ground. I'm done living for their approval. Marcus's mask slipped. You think you're free? I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you are. Ethan left shaken but resolute. When he returned to the penthouse, Luca was waiting. You did good, he said simply. Then he pulled Ethan into a hug. It was the first real physical comfort Ethan had accepted in months. He leaned into it, feeling the steady beat of Luca's heart. That night they talked until dawn. Luca admitted his feelings had grown beyond protection. I see you fighting for yourself. It's rare in my world. Ethan confessed his fears. Your life is dangerous. What if I bring trouble to you? What if I can't handle what you do? Luca was honest. There are parts one can't change. But I can choose how I protect the people I care about. The kiss happened naturally, tentative at first, then deeper. No rush, just connection. Afterward, Ethan felt both alive and terrified. He had crossed a line. Loving Luca meant accepting the shadows. Meanwhile, Ethan's family called a meeting. His parents, his sister, they sat him down at their suburban home and laid out their disappointment. Marcus is willing to forgive. Think of the stability, the community. His father added, this phase you're going through, it's hurting everyone. Ethan left in tears. The prejudice stung, the implication that his love for a man was the problem, not the abuse. Luca picked him up, listening without judgment. They fear what they don't understand. The attraction deepened into quiet intimacy. Shared looks, gentle touches, long talks. But the cost was rising. Marcus began spreading rumors at social circles. Ethan's job felt the pressure. Luca's rivals noticed his distraction. One night, a rival faction sent a warning. A broken window at one of Luca's restaurants. Luca handled it calmly, but Ethan saw the weight it placed on him. This is because of me, Ethan said. No, Luca replied. This is my life. You're the part that makes it worth protecting. Ethan wrestled with the ethics. Was he enabling something wrong by staying? Or was leaving Luca just another form of running? The psychological toll mounted, but so did the sense of being truly seen. The relationship between Ethan and Luca blossomed amid growing external pressures. They stole moments of normalcy. Walks in Millennium Park, quiet dinners, evenings reading on the balcony. Luca's protectiveness never felt suffocating like Marcus's had. Instead, it felt like partnership. Ethan began to believe he could build a new life. But society and family refused to let go. Ethan's sister reached out privately. Mom and Dad are talking to lawyers. They think Marcus has a case for emotional distress or something. They're worried about the family name. The prejudice was layered. Some friends distanced themselves, uncomfortable with the drama. At work, colleagues whispered. Ethan confronted the reality that being gay in certain circles still carried stigma, even in a progressive city. Why does my happiness threaten them so much? He asked Luca. Because it challenges their control, Luca answered. Same reason my world exists. People want power over others. Luca faced his own conflicts. His captains questioned the time he spent with Ethan. Boss, distractions get people killed. Luca defended his choice, but the strain showed. He made decisions that protected Ethan but bent rules he once upheld strictly. A pivotal confrontation came at a family dinner Luca hosted for close associates. Ethan attended nervously. The men were polite but probing. One asked about his past marriage. Ethan answered honestly. Later, Luca pulled him aside. You handled that well. Did I? I feel like I'm intruding on your world. You're not intruding. You're becoming part of it. The words both thrilled and scared Ethan. Becoming part of it meant accepting the moral gray areas, the favors called in, the quiet enforcement of loyalty. He witnessed Luca mediate a dispute between businesses, using influence that skirted the law. Troubled him. I don't want to lose myself again, Ethan confessed one night. You won't, Luca promised. I'll make sure of it. Yet doubts lingered. Ethan's parents cut off financial support, a final attempt to force reconciliation. Come home or figure it out alone, his mother said. The betrayal hurt deeply. Luca offered support without hesitation, but Ethan grappled with pride. Was accepting help weakness or strength? Social judgment peaked when a gossip blog hinted at Ethan's new relationship and Marcus's claims of abandonment. Comments online were vicious, some condemning the lifestyle, others questioning Ethan's choices. The psychological pressure mounted. Ethan had nightmares about losing everything. Through it all, Luca was steady. They shared vulnerabilities. Luca spoke of losses in his family, the isolation of leadership. Ethan realized Luca carried his own traumas, decisions that haunted him, the constant vigilance. Their bond strengthened through these talks. One weekend, they drove to a cabin up north. Away from the city, they hiked, cooked, and talked about the future. "I want a life where I don't have to hide," Ethan said. "I want to give you that," Luca replied. The romance was tender. Stolen kisses, supportive words, mutual respect. No grand gestures, just consistent presence. But the cost was real. Luca distanced himself from riskier operations to prioritize safety, drawing criticism from within his circle. Ethan saw the toll and questioned if he was worth it. A betrayal emerged when Ethan's former best friend, pressured by Marcus, leaked their location to investigators looking into Luca's businesses. The police visit was routine but unnerving. Ethan felt responsible. "You didn't do this," Luca said. "Choices have consequences. We face them together." The inner awakening grew. Ethan realized true love required facing hard truths, not escaping them. He began advocating for himself more, setting boundaries even with Luca. The dynamic shifted from rescuer and rescued to equals. Yet the drama intensified. Marcus filed for divorce with aggressive terms, dragging family finances into court. Ethan's parents sided publicly with him. The media swirl threatened Luca's legitimate fronts. In quiet moments, Ethan wondered if he had traded one form of control for another. But looking at Luca, he saw a man willing to change for him. The question of right and wrong blurred in the face of genuine connection. The cracks widened as external forces converged. Marcus's legal team dug into Ethan's life, painting him as unstable. Rumors spread in their social circle that Ethan had abandoned his vows for a dangerous element. Ethan's family amplified it, calling Luca that man from the wrong side. Luca's world pushed back. A rival family sensed weakness in his divided attention and made moves on territory. One of Luca's trusted captains, frustrated by the caution, leaked information that complicated a deal. The betrayal cut deep. Luca confronted the man privately, the conversation ending with the captain's removal from inner circles. Ethan witnessed the fallout. "This is my fault," he said. "No," Luca replied. "Loyalty was already thin. You just made me see what matters." Their relationship faced its greatest test. Ethan suggested he move out temporarily to reduce pressure. Luca refused. "Running solves nothing. We stand." They argued for the first time, real, raw disagreement about risk and sacrifice. Ethan accused Luca of making decisions for both of them. Luca countered that Ethan was still letting fear guide him. The fight ended with Ethan storming to the guest room. But reconciliation came hours later with honest apologies. "I don't want to lose you," Ethan admitted. "You won't. But we both have to choose this every day." The climax built when Marcus arranged a public confrontation at a charity gala both attended. Marcus approached with Ethan's parents in tow. "This ends tonight," Marcus said loudly. "Come back or face the consequences." Ethan stood tall. "It's over, Marcus. I choose me." His mother pleaded. "Think of us." "I have, for too long." Security escorted Marcus out, but the damage was done. Photos circulated. Luca's name surfaced in whispers. That night, a serious threat arrived. An attempt to sabotage one of Luca's key operations, tied back to Marcus's connections. Luca handled it decisively, but the moral line blurred further. Ethan confronted him. "Did you hurt someone?" Luca was honest. "I protected what's ours, the way my world requires." The conversation was painful. Ethan wrestled with his values. Could he love a man whose methods he could not fully condone? Luca admitted the weight of his choices. "I've done things I'm not proud of, But with you, I want better. The betrayal from within Luca's circle escalated. The disgruntled captain allied with rivals, leading to a tense standoff. Luca faced a decision: retaliate fully or find another way. He chose a path that minimized harm, influenced by Ethan's presence. Ethan saw the change. You're sacrificing parts of your power for me. It's not sacrifice if it's for the right reason. Through the ordeal, their love deepened. Quiet nights reaffirmed their bond. Talks about forgiveness, growth, the price of freedom. Ethan awakened to his own strength. He started therapy, rebuilt some friendships on his terms, and even reached out to his sister privately. But the cost was paid in sleepless nights and constant vigilance. Ethan questioned if his pursuit of happiness justified the chaos it brought to Luca's life. The final confrontation came on a cold Chicago evening. Marcus, desperate and backed into a corner by the divorce proceedings, showed up at the penthouse building with a small group, demanding to speak to Ethan. Security alerted Luca, who met them downstairs. Ethan insisted on joining. The lobby tension was thick. Marcus hurled accusations. "He's using you, Ethan. This man is dangerous." Ethan looked at Marcus, really seeing him for the first time. The only danger was staying with you. His parents had come too, faces pale. "We just want what's best," his father said. "What's best for you," Ethan replied. "Not for me." Luca stood beside him, calm but firm. "Leave. This is over." Marcus lunged verbally, threatening to expose everything. In that moment, Ethan made his choice. He stepped forward. "Go ahead. I'm done hiding." The group left defeated. Back upstairs, Ethan and Luca sat together. "I couldn't have done that without you," Ethan said. "You did it yourself." In the weeks that followed, the divorce finalized on terms favoring Ethan. His family slowly, painfully began to accept the distance. Some bridges remained burned, others mended tentatively. Luca restructured parts of his operations, stepping back from riskier elements to build something more legitimate, though the shadows never fully disappeared. Their life together settled into a new rhythm, partnership marked by mutual respect, honest conversations, and shared dreams. Ethan took a new job, pursued writing on the side. Luca supported without controlling. The romance endured through quiet strength. Yet the journey left scars. Ethan carried the guilt of family estrangement. Luca bore the weight of choices made to protect them both. They had both paid prices, sacrificed pieces of their old worlds for this one. Looking back, Ethan reflected on every decision. The escape, the trust, the love that grew from danger. It had been messy, controversial, filled with moral gray areas. In the end, was Ethan's choice to trust Luca and embrace this complicated love a brave step toward authentic happiness? Or did it simply exchange one form of compromise for another? Was it right or wrong to find salvation in the arms of a man whose world operated by different rules?